All right, I want to start by giving all glory and praises unto the Lord Yahawah by Hashem Yahawashi. It's like it. Yahawah by Hashem Yahawashi, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawashi, Barakatah Yahawah, and Barakatah Yahawashi. We give all glory and praise unto those holy and powerful names of Yahawah being the Father and Yahawashi being his only begotten Son. I just want to go into a lesson today in regards to this video that I'm currently watching, but if you just give me a moment, let me pull up something really quickly before I continue. Salak. Here we go. Here we go right here. Yahawah Shimi Yahawashi, Babakashah, 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 Shalak, Hadaraka, Quadash, Labana, Salak, Labana, Habaikayar, the water to Yahawah Shimi Yahawashi. And that is that the Lord Yahawah Shimi Yahawashi send down the Holy Spirit, unto me, that I make this lesson edifying unto the hopeful body of the hopeful elect. And before I get started as well, I want to bring out a particular precept and go into that a little bit. But, we, Lord willing, being the prophets of the Lord, our job is to warn, exhort, and to continuously be served through the Spirit as watchmen unto the nation of Israel, consisting of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which makes up the house of Israel, and continuously be a watchman, be a warning unto them for the times that we are coming into. And as we're seeing the end of this man's kingdom, the end of Esau-Edom's and his empire as a collective. Now, we understand via the scriptures that Babylon the Great, which is the modern day stronghold of these Edomites, because we know that these Edomites through the Spirit, according to the scriptures, are vagabonds. Okay, they're thieves and murderers. You know what I'm saying? Very wicked men. So they don't, like it says in Habakkuk, they don't dwell at home. They're everywhere. But their stronghold here is in Babylon, which is America, according to the scriptures. And there's Edomites scattered. Places like so-called Europe, which is really Asia. They're there as well, but we know according to the scriptures that Babylon the Great is the chief place that's going to be destroyed. They really use Babylon the Great, because the elites are are probably in bunkers or somewhere, wherever the fuck they are. It doesn't really matter, because wherever they are, we're gonna find them and we're gonna put them in slavery. But the point is, they use America as that hammer of the earth. Though they might operate through the Spirit outside of America or somewhere in some hidden, undisclosed bunker. And I'm talking about the elites. I'm talking about the ones that really run this society. Those oligarchs. They go by various different names. We got the Rothschilds, the Gettys, the DuPonts, the Rockefellers. But like I say, they do change their names often. But these are the elites of this world. And I'm going to start off. I just forgot the precept I wanted to get, so I'm going to have to start off with another precept. But Lord willing, the Lord Yahawashi will send the angel down and put the remembrance of the scripture I wanted to bring out back within my mind. But we'll start here then. And start here. This is Proverbs 29:2. Because the video that I'm finna go into is really just an Edomite woman complaining about the difficulties and the perplexity that is coming upon the earth. And like the scriptures say, I'm finna get this. These are just the beginning of sorrows. You know what I'm saying? So we're finna jump into it. But these things are all a result of the wicked rulership that is at hand. Because we know, according to Job 9:24, Esau-Edom, okay, the wicked, when you go into Malachi, the first chapter, as I paraphrase these scriptures, I quote these scriptures, we know that Esau-Edom, is the wicked of the earth. So, and also he's the hammer of the earth. So he's doing just that, because the whole ultimate point that Esau-Edom, the elites, are trying to do as a collective is bring forth the MOTB, crash the dollar, transfer this thing over to a digital currency, and ultimately via AI and via the MOTB chip, they're gonna try to set up a pseudo new world order. All right, but the true through the spirit new world order that's really going to be brought upon the earth is going to be under Yahawashi, and it's going to be in righteousness. So this is Proverbs 29:2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. All right. And right now, I'm going to show you this video in a quick second. She's complaining. The people, and she's not the only one that's complaining. Is various videos, various things on the internet, TikTok, YouTube, as a whole, where people are complaining about the cost of living, how it is in Babylon right now, how it is in America right now. They can't pay their bills. Struggling. People have kids. And you got your boy, Trump in this administration going absolutely insane with tariffs. Right now it's a pause on that right now, but ultimately Trump and this administration is doing the bidding of the elites to go ahead and crash this place, go ahead and set up the particular conditions on the earth to where the MOTB can be pushed as a beacon of salvation. But truly, we, being the Hebrew Israelites, consisting of these so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans of the 12 tribes of Israel, and from there, the elect, which is those elect prophets written about in Revelations the 7th chapter, 144,000. You got the great multitude, but right now we're focusing on the 144,000. We, Lord willing, be of those men. Our job is to serve as the righteous beacon on the earth for our people, consisting of the elect, and tell them and warn them of the things that are to come. All right. And yes, things are going to get harder, but the Lord Yahawashi, according to his word, which he swore by, he's going to deliver us, and we're entering into some very difficult and perplexed times. So it says, when the righteous are in authority, which we are not in authority, the wicked are in authority. This is the wicked being Esau-Edom, so-called white man. So notice I said so-called because they're not actually white, and we're not black, so-called. All right, these are just a play on words. Okay, they created that, and they created that term in Virginia in the 1600s. Because I forgot the exact. If I go to my notes, I might have it in my notes when they created that term. Salakia, or I might not. It just depends. I might not have it in here. But anyway, back to the scriptures. And it says, but when the righteous rejoice, it's like it says, when the people rejoice, when the righteous are in authority, and when the righteous, being the Israelites, are not in authority right now. So, right now we're waiting for Yahawashi to give us that go ahead, to give us, to let, further prophecy come to pass, as far as what Yahawashi got set up within these scriptures, the true narrative of these scriptures, that we're going to see the fall of our enemies and the fall of these heathen nations that have, joined hand in hand with Esau-Edom to afflict the nation of Israel. But we, being the prophets, like I said before, are that true beacon of hope, and that we would give our people, hope in the form of Yahawashi. We're standing on Yahawashi, and we're not standing on anything else. All right, that's a very pivotal part of the ministry, is to push the names and push the vibration that is Yahawashi. And you're gonna know a true prophet by his works and by the name in which he comes in. We got a lot of other camps not coming in the name, not coming in the right doctrine, and things of that nature, and they're gonna reap the benefits of what they've been sowing, which is Christ, and teaching everything else outside of the true narrative of Yahawashi. You know what I'm saying? Not every man that you see standing on the corner, is one of the true men of the Lord. You gotta, try the spirit by the spirit, and see if that particular man is sincerely teaching the truth. And the Lord Yahawashi will give you spiritual discernment, to determine which is which. But it says, when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And right now the people are mourning, You know what I'm saying? They are crying. All right, but this is nothing more than a result of the wicked rulership that, because this person that I'm finna get, this is an Edomite woman, and she's complaining. So but let me get this, and we're gonna start at 6 here, but let's get her complaining a little bit. I'm not gonna play this whole video at all, because she's just bitching. She's complaining, and it's good. It's good to see the fall of our enemies and see the ones that afflicted us go through, things that we went through. And the Lord, it's like a light start flickering. But the Lord Yahawashi did say that he was going to put the curses that are upon us on our enemies. Let me get that. Man. Oh, okay. So like, I thought that shit fucked up my video. But look, the Lord did say he was going to put the curses on, on us. That's, right now that's on our people, on our enemies. So let me get that. Let's start it. This is Deuteronomy 30:6. It says, "And the Lord Yahawah thy power will circumcise thy heart and the heart of thy seed to love Yahawah thy power with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that they may live." And this is what we must do, and this is the time where Moses, one of the men of the Lord was dealing amongst, the Israelites at that time, telling them, what they needed to do, setting before them life and death, ultimately, like choose life. And we'll get that precept. But the point is here in verse 7, it says, "And the Lord Yahawah thy power, will put all these curses upon thy enemies." And we have enemies according to this faith, according to this truth, according to the scriptures, okay? And the enemies are anyone that is outside of the 12 tribes of Israel, okay? And because the Lord Yahawashi has created 18 nations, all right? And within those 18 nations, one nation outside of that is the nation of Israel itself. So there's 17 other nations that are our enemies, okay? And these nations were set up, and they were created for what? For what purpose? They were set up, and they were created to be under the nation of Israel, to be what's the word? Subjugated to the nation of Israel, to be servants, to be handmaids, to be slaves, and so that they can build up our kingdom when Yahawashi makes his second coming, and he returns within the clouds, within the chariots. Okay, because what those are. The UFOs are really IFOs, which stands for Identified Flying Aircraft. Okay, those are the chariots of the Most High. This is the truth about those vehicles. Okay, those are the angels. That's the Lord Yahawashi mighty hosts. Okay, and they're gonna come afflict this man in his kingdom. Okay, but before that, the Lord Yahawashi is gonna afflict this man, and afflict these Edomites. Okay, these lower to middle class, even to high class. The rich, even the rich Edomites, they're not gonna be spared. Okay, because they have a plethora of money. All right, because we know what the scriptures say about or riches, and how it's not really going to deliver you. But it says, "And the Lord Yahawah thy power will put all these curses." Okay, and we have the curses on us right now, and we catch hell. But look, now through the spirit power of Yahawashi, the Lord is lightening up. And we have the Holy Spirit, the Bakakodash, and now the Lord is putting the curses and hardship and hard times. Basically, Ra'in, which goes into Hebrew, which means evil, upon our enemies, and they're going to catch hell now, and they're going to struggle, and their kids are going to be, their children are going to be miserable. They're going to be hungry now. And they're going to be perplexed. They're going to be stricken with madness, what I'm saying? And ultimately it's going to lead up to them dying, all right? But they're going to come back in reincarnation and go right into slavery anyway. But it says, "In the Lord Yahweh thy power will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecute thee." All right. And we've been persecuted by our enemies. We've been persecuted at a high level by our enemies, man. Okay. Like I said, Esau-Edom, being a so-called white woman, man, and child, so-called, is the chief person that have persecuted us, but along with the other heathen nations. Okay. Like I said, there's 17 nations. I'm going to read verse 8, and then I'm going to go to the next point. It says, "And thou shalt return." Okay, because even though this was written aforetime, this is still written for our learning, because the very same things that Moses was saying back then is the very same things that we need to do now. It really hasn't changed. And what he basically, in a nutshell, what he's saying here in verse 8 is to repent, ultimately repent and return back into Yahawashi, ultimately, because the Lord was the one that, who did all the evil unto us. And he's going to be the one that's going to also be the one that's going to heal us as well. Now it says, and thou shalt return. Okay, return. Okay, if you had, if you to return to something means that you left it. Okay, and we are the nation of Israel. We are the Lord's chosen people, and we've come back to that understanding via the Rakakwadash through the apostles of Great Millstone, who are well deserving of double honors, but we have come back to that understanding, okay, and via the man, Salakia, the men likewise that teach the, the same doctrine, that may not be a part of the so-called body of GMS in and of itself, but they're still, men of the Lord that the Lord is dealing with. But it says, and thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yahawah. Now, the Lord Yahawah is no longer dealing with us on that level. He's dealing with us through Yahawah Bashim Yahawashi via his son, the only begotten. And that's how we're the Lord Yahawah Bashim Yahawashi, or the Lord Yahawah, being the Father, is dealing with us through his son Yahawashi. All right. And it says this, do all these commandments which I command thee this day, and the Lord will make thee plenteous in the work of thy hand, and in the fruit of thy body, and in thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land, for good. And the Lord Yahawah will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiced over thy fathers. And this is what we're looking forward to. This is what we're entering into. But to enter into these goodnesses and these promises and this mercy, you got to return them to the Lord Yahawah. Before we get the kingdom, the first step is to receive this understanding, receive this wisdom, and fear Yahawah. Come to the understanding, return to the understanding that of what you are doing, and what we are here to do on the earth is not to just pay bills and woo all this other get taxed to death, fuck bitches. There's time and there's a place for all things, but the principal thing, the first thing is to give glory and praise unto Lord Yahawashi and worship Yahawashi. That is the principal thing. That is what he wants us to do. That is the reason why we were created, man. The sons of God were created for the reason as to worship Yahawashi and rejoice in his goodness and rejoice in his mercy. That's the reason why we're on the planet. That's the reason. And as well is to rule as the sons of God. Okay? That's the reason. And now we got the heathen nations. They have their purpose as well. And I've already stated what their purpose is. Now let me get another precept here, just real quick, and then we'll play some of that video because the spirit's on me, and the spirit on me to hit this precept, but I'm gonna have to do a little work. I might have to go to Google for it. It's in Wisdom of Solomon. Bear with me. I'm gonna have to pull that Wisdom of Solomon. I think it's Wisdom of Solomon, the 3rd chapter. Actually, this is a good chapter just to read in general, but I still want to find the point. But the spirit, I think the spirit want me to go into this real quick. Now, this is Wisdom of Solomon 3, and the point is in verse 9. Let me see. Right. So this is Wisdom of Solomon 3 and 1. It says, but the souls of the righteous, okay, and like I brought out in Proverbs 21, the righteous are not in authority right now. So guess what? The people are mourning, and we're finna get into that video. Actually, let's listen to a bit of her complaints through the spirit, and I'm gonna play it back a little bit. I'm gonna start it at the 1 minute mark because she was complaining for a little second, and we'll let it play so you can get the context, a little bit more context, and then we'll go back to these scriptures. Drinking your water, you're taking your supplements. Real quick, like I said, the Lord's afflicting these Edomites, and the Lord's afflicting us as well, because like it speaks about in Ezekiel, the 4th chapter, we got to eat our bread defiled among the Gentiles. Esau-Edom is polluting the earth. Esau-Edom is polluting water. Esau-Edom is polluting the animals. He's polluting everything. Esau-Edom is the fucking devil, all right? You can't even breathe air and oxygen and live and just breathe air, because there's chemicals in the air. There's forever chemicals in the stuff that you eat. There's forever chemicals in the water and shit. The very water that you eat, that you cook with, that you bathe with. You know what I'm saying? The drinking water is polluted. We got plastic bottles and things of that nature, which is not good. You know, you know what? You got lead in the water. All types of chemicals and things that are against the betterment of the body. You know what I'm saying? Basically, we're under a devil. We're under Satan, being Esau-Edom, who is opposed to life. So he's trying to kill as many people and make as many people as sick as possible. Okay, because if you're sick, then Esau can profit off you until you die. With reoccurring payments. Okay, you get sick from something that you done breathed or whatever, whoop de whoop, right? And then now Esau Edom can make a buck off you because you're sick and you got to go to the quote unquote doctor. You gotta go to the whatever you got, wherever you gotta go to the hospital, to the pharmaceutical side of the industry and buy this and get that and get that, and it's all that's money, all that's gonna cost. Okay, so eliminating toxins, and you still get sick because there's pesticides all over your vegetables, because the water you drink is polluted, the air you're breathing is polluted, because there's carcinogens in your shampoo and your right, and as well as they spray particular, like she said, chemicals on your vegetables, chemicals on your fruits, and also the food that we eat. Like I said, is defiled among the Gentiles. When you go into Ezekiel the 4th chapter, I believe that's the 16th or 13th verse. I'm not sure, but brothers know. We got to eat our bread defiled among the Gentiles. So, we're actually not even eating probably the most nutritious and real food. They got a lot of genetically modified food. When you go to these fast food restaurants, it's a lot of genetically modified food. It's not real food. It's not really nutritious unto you, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Now, I wouldn't recommend brothers eating that type of stuff overly too often. Every once in a while, it might be all right, but even still, if you can, just avoid it, then obviously through the spirit you should avoid it. And because health is wealth, so you should focus on doing the best you can, though the conditions are very sour, if you will. But the Lord Yahawashi is going to put the spirit on us to do the best we can. And that's why we look for the Lord's mercy and we look for the Lord's return, because we know that this isn't life, this isn't living. And even the Edomites who are now getting afflicted now, who are now complaining now, can see and understand that this is your rulership. This is y'all are the ones that are in rulership. You're maybe not these low level Edomites, but you put particular people in office, which everyone, the whole voting thing is bullshit. But still, they went down there, they cast a lot, and they vote for this devil, and now this devil is not doing what they thought he would. They thought ultimately would basically make a quote unquote make America great again. See, according to the scriptures, according to Yahawashi, America will not be great again. Okay, America will be nothing more than a desolation, nothing more than a wilderness, according to the scriptures, man. Because the Lord Yahawashi is going to cause, the beast to hate the whore. NATO and the EU are going to turn against Babylon, against these fucking proud Edomites, man, over here in the West. Okay, and Trump and his allies are already talking about, not allies, but Trump and his administration are talking about leaving NATO. And with these tariffs and things of that nature, which there is a 3-month pause on them, but still, what happens when the 3 months are up? And it's right back to birth pains. It's right back to sorrows. It's right back to bullshit. This place is through. This place is done. Okay, these women are done. These wicked men are done. These homosexual faggot niggas and homosexual faggot Edomites, homosexual just in general, all that is done, because the Lord's finna bring upon the earth a renewal of things. Okay, there's gonna be men on the earth again. That's not gonna be in the spirit. That's gonna be in the right spirit. Okay, and this is the start. This is the start of the kingdom. It starts with this wisdom and understanding what the Lord wants us to do and how He wants us to operate in the earth and what to do. Okay, that regal king mindset is coming back in the men of the Lord, unto the prophets first off and foremost. But the Lord is also going to deliver the innumerable multitude slack that's written about in Revelation 7. Okay, and that's who the Lord's going to have mercy on. But hey, our enemies are feeling it, so let's keep watching. And she's complaining to the choir. Jake and the Israelites, we've been under financial stress. That ain't nothing to Jake. Jake been under emotional, mental stress. I mean, imagine coming out of motherfucking captivity and these devils talking about pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And they've done every little thing and not even every little thing, every major thing to make sure our people are destroyed. And even unto this very day, still making sure our people are in are in a polluted state, putting forth the particular wine. Let me get that in Habakkuk. They're putting forth the particular wine to our people to keep them in a fucked up state. So but they think that they can destroy all our people. See? But they cannot. See, let me get this precept and where we at? Where's that? Where we at? I believe hold on, let me do a little. Man, what the fuck? You mean to tell me? Oh, this shit might be fucking up. Oh, okay, hold on. Let me see. It might be in 2. Hold on. This is a good chapter, but I'm looking for. Here we go. We can start at 12. This is Habakkuk 2 and verse 12. It says, "Woe unto him," and we could get it in the NLT. Got the NLT on the right hand side. So we'll read it in the NLT. And so boom, it says, "What sorrow." Now this is talking about these Edomites, man, because they are the ones that are chiefly in rulership right now. Okay, now they're sitting here complaining. All right, but you can complain all you want to. These curses are coming upon you, and not only curses are coming upon you, but a lot of judgment. Like the judgment that Esau-Edom is finna receive is going to be unbelievable. It's going to be, you can't even put a number on it. It's just, these Edomites have done so much evil and damage in the earth, according to the Lord's will, according to the Lord's, how he set up how he had set up the storyline, that when we get these Edomites in captivity, man, it's gonna be wild, man. I can't even put it in words. The amount of, we're gonna be stomping on their necks. It's gonna be nothing. But it says, "What sorrow awaits you who build cities?" And Esau-Edom is still building cities unto this very day. Still building complexes. Still building apartments. Still building schools. When I drive around, I still see this man building up shit. When the Lord Yahawashi said that he was gonna throw down all this shit that you see in America, being Babylon the Great, being built up, trying to continue to forward themselves, is going to be built down. And the only reason that he's forwarding himself, because the Lord Yahawashi has put that pride on him to think that he's going to continue to rule. He's going to continue to be the top dog, if you will, in the planet Earth. No, that's not what's going to happen. The Lord Yahawashi is going to destroy you. All right. It says here, "What sorrow awaits you who built cities with money gained through murder and corruption." Now, how did they even get Babylon the Great or get America in the first place? They destroyed and killed over, according to, according to brothers, in research, they kill overnight 95, what, hold on. I think they say it was 100 billion indigenous people over here, but then when Esau got done, there was, he killed over 95 billion. And that was high level judgment on our people, because the northern kingdom, they was being wicked as hell. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord Yahawashi used Esau-Edom as that sword, to come and afflict, those wicked Israelites, during that time. But all that, you still afflicted the Lord's people. You still got to pay for that. You don't get to chop off the limbs and gator bait and stomp out pregnant women, and their children. And there's not a recompense unto you. There will be revenge. And the first one that's going to get the first lick, that's really going to, get the, really get at you on a high level, is Yahawashi, man. But the prophets of the Lord, we gonna get our piece of flesh too. But we don't want, it's not about us. Okay, it's about Yahawah, our Lord, getting his hands on you first. And he's gone, because he's the king. He's the king of Israel, under King, not under King David, but so he's our Lord. But we also have also King David under Yahawah Shai, according to the scriptures. But it says, what sorrow awaits you who build cities with money gained through murder and corruption. All right, murder and sin. And it says here, verse 12, iniquity. We know that iniquity is sin multiplied. Okay, that's how he's gotten his riches. That's how he's gotten everything through paperwork, through the pen. He's raped, robbed, and murdered, and stole land, killed, literally raped, and pillaged, all in the name of using false doctrine, using the doctrine of discovery, using these people are infidels, these people are heathens. We need to subjugate. No, you're just the fucking devil. That's just your excuse, and that's cool because that's cool. That's cool because you're the devil. So we don't, of course you're gonna come up with something and be proud that you did these things. And guess what? We're gonna be happy to reward you with recompense and reward you with judgment because of the things that you've done. And plus, you're the wicked, so you're gonna do these wicked acts anyway. That's why Esau-Edom is the way that he is. You don't question it. You just understand. You know what I'm saying? Because Yahawashi has set this man up to be the wicked. So when he does wicked things and he does wickedly, there's no surprise. It's no fucking surprise that he's killing everything. It's no surprise that he's making, now these Edomites are complaining. That it's no surprise that he's, the food is defiled. It's no surprise that he's trying to make laboratory meat. You know what I'm saying? It's no surprise that he's cloning things that shouldn't even be cloned. You know what I'm saying? Cloning, it's no surprise. It's no surprise that these fucking heathens, are trying to block out the sun, and Bill Gates is doing the wickedness that he's doing. You know what I'm saying? It's no surprise. And you got people, like Klaus Schwab, they salivate over, their agendas and what they're trying to do. And all that they're trying to do on the earth is nothing but pure wickedness that the Lord Yahawashi Shai is going to stomp out. All right. The Lord's going to stomp out their wicked light, their pseudo wicked light that they think that they have. But everything comes from Yahawashi Shai. So whether you be, the Lord has given you your rulership, and the Lord's going to take away your rulership. He's going to bring you down, just like the Lord Yahawashi Shai brought down the nation of Israel for disobedience. You know what I'm saying? Because we were being wicked against Yahawashi Shai. All right. And so the Lord destroyed us using Esau, which is the sword, the so-called white man. All right. But the Lord is also going to bring down your kingdom and bring down your empire as well, because that's what the Lord Yahawashi Shai said he was going to do. And plus, you're the wicked, and the Lord hates wickedness, man. All right. The Lord is not with you, but the Lord is with his people, man. The Lord is with the downtrodden, with the meek, okay, with the lowly, okay. First and foremost, he's with the elect, all right. But the elect carry these characteristics. And so what we're going to do is we're going to cry out unto the Lord Yahawashi Shai for all the abominations that be done in the midst of. That's what we're going to do. And that's what we're going to constantly do until the Lord Yahawashi Shai comes back and he destroys you. It says, in verse 13, it says, has not the Lord of heaven's armies promised that the wealth of the nations will turn to ashes? So your money, like I brought out, your money and your riches right now, these Edomites are way well off. They've stolen, raped, robbed, and murdered, and took all the riches and all the gold, and they parted it among themselves in some way, shape, form, or fashion. To the highest Edomites, to the lowest Edomite, they all have this particular quote unquote privilege, and they've been able to use it, man. Use it to the max, man. They're not hurting for particular things. Now they hurting because the curse is getting on their ass. But you take it back 50 years, 100 years. Esau was high off the hog. Esau was good, man. And guess what? We was through. We was cooked. You know what I'm saying? But the Lord Yahawashi Shai is having mercy via the Rakakodas, via the Lord Yahawashi Shai, opening up the understanding unto the men of the Lord, supping with us, having us receive the Holy Spirit, so that now we can preach, and prophesize the downfall, and manifest this man going down, man. Because that's what we're doing. We're prophesizing and bringing it to fruition, because the Spirit of the Lord, upon the prophets is the spirit of prophecy. When you go into Revelations 19 and 10, it's the spirit of prophecy. So within these these scriptures is prophecies letting us know what's going to be the end, and what's going to be the, basically what's going to be the end of our enemies, and what's going to be the end for us, which is us being delivered and saved. All right. It says they work so hard, but all in vain. So your riches ain't gonna save you, man. You building up all these cities and further into oppressing Jake in the court system. Being subject to payments. People got to pay all this, or under the threat of, oh, we're gonna jail you. We're gonna we're gonna take this. We're gonna take that. Well, guess what, man? The Lord Yahawashi Mashai gonna take your life. The Lord Yahawashi Mashai gonna take your kingdom. All right, the Lord Yahawashi Mashai gonna take everything that you have. He gonna take everything. Literally everything. All right. And the Lord's going to take your woman. All right. And he's going to give all of that. I mean, because guess what? All you nations, man, all you nations are fucking slaves, man. You're nothing but fucking slaves and servants, man. And you think I'm just talking out of my ass, but the Lord Yahweh Shema Shah is going to make this very certain. It's going to make this true. All right. And that's what's going to confound you devils. All right. Because for so long, y'all been talking that shit. You've been saying all this, where it is. No, you fear us, man, because really we come in the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah, man. All right, that's why you fear us, man. Okay, we are the true men on the planet, man. It's like we are the true sons of God on the planet, man. Y'all want to try to quote unquote take our identities and say you're the Jews. You ain't the fucking Jews. You don't even look the part. You can't even fucking pretend to be the part. Man, you're nothing more than the devil. All right, you're nothing more than Satan. You're the deceiver. You're a liar. Okay, you're a vagabond. You're a fool. All right, and you're truly a fool for trying to go up against the Lord's anointed, which is the elect, man, and then go up against Yahweh Shemi Shai. All right, but that's a part of the story, and you're going to be destroyed therein. But it says in verse 14, for the waters fill the sea, and the earth is filled with awareness of the glory of the Lord Yahawah. All right, and now that's being made manifest because who's spreading that glory? Who's letting you know the true message and understanding of what the fuck going on? It's the true men of the Lord, starting with the apostles of Great Millstone and the men that teach the like-minded doctrine. Okay, those men and these men are spreading the glory of the Lord in the true proper way, man. Okay, and so the elect, which is all we're concerned about, is waking up. Okay, we're waking up to the names. They're waking up to everything. They're waking up to, oh, this man is the fucking devil. Oh, okay, the prophecies are real. Okay, oh, we do have a power. We do have someone that we could call upon. And it's not this fucking faggot named Jesus. Okay, the Lord's not dealing with that. That's a stronghold. That's a delusion on our people that has nothing to do with the nation of Israel. Okay, that's lies, man. Roman Catholicism, all that fuck shit, that don't got nothing to do with the true narrative of these scriptures. And the only ones that's going to be able to teach you the true narrative of these scriptures is the men of the Lord. All right. Anyone that's outside of the elect and the men of the Lord that's holding these scriptures and trying to tell you something, these are false prophets, man. And the Lord said in Matthew that many false prophets would come, and they've come, and we see them, and we know them by their works, man. We know them because they don't come in the name, man. Okay. And even the ones that do come in the name, quote unquote, like Sakari, you got niggas is coming out. This dude's a Mo. All right. And he's doing dastardly works. He's doing some very evil, wicked works. And he's still proud, just like unto his father Esau. He's going to be destroyed therein. These people are bugged out. But hey, the world is a stage. Okay. And Esau-Edom, so like not Esau-Edom, but the word is a stage, and we're all playing our parts. Lord willing, we're of the hopeful elect, and we're doing what we must do. But you got other individuals that's playing the part of wicked men, okay, and they can do nothing but because you can't go against the Lord's will, okay. We don't have free will. We're doing the Lord's will. You understand? Now it says in verse 15, what sorrow awaits you? This is the point I want to bring out. What sorrow awaits you who make your neighbors drunk? Okay, they have made the Israelites, and not only the Israelites, but these other nations. But we're not concerned with these other nations and how they got in bed with Esau and how they made all these money and how they made all these riches. Fuck them. Okay, they're going to be destroyed. They're going into slavery. These Indian motherfuckers, these Elamite motherfuckers, these Ishmaelites, all that, they're all going to slavery. All right, but we're focusing on Esau, Edom, and the Israelites right now. Okay, these two nations are the chief people, two individuals that have the blessing right now. But Esau, Edom has a temporary blessing, but Jacob has the eternal, perpetual blessing of the kingdom. And it starts with Yahawah Shemi Shai entering into our understanding and coming and supping with us, and we putting on, the fear of the Lord, and basically returning unto the Lord and doing what He asks us to do. Which is if you one of the prophets, go teach the word. If you're a believer, believe and help the ministry. And, do what you can, do what you got to do. The Lord, pray to the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai. He'll let you know what you need to do. If you sincerely pray, then the Lord will answer you. He is not a power where I ain't fucking with them. I ain't gonna hear them. If you are, you a worshiper, you truly sincere, and you don't know what to do, then pray to the Lord. Fast unto the Lord. Pray unto the name Yahawah, Yahawashi, man. Yahawah being the Father, Yahawashi being his only begotten Son. He will answer you if he's dealing with you, if you are sincere. This is not a power. Whereas this is not Balaam. This is not when Elijah was dealing with those particular men and he confounded them, and he was like, is your God sleeping? We don't have a God that sleeps. The Lord never get tired. The Lord don't rest. We're talking about Yahawashi here. You know what I mean? So it says, woe to you. No, it's like it says, what sorrow like it says awaits you who make your neighbors drunk. So like I said, brought out, they're making the 2/3 of Israel and these wicked Israelites that don't want to hear the message. They're continuously putting them in his sleep. They're continuously putting forth that wine unto them. That feminism. That YN culture, and Jake just wicked all around. But Esau feeds Jake all this foolishness. Pork, all just a whole bunch of nigga shit. Making sure the music is dumbed down, making sure everything is fucking just as wicked as possible, so they can continue to accuse Jake, and the Israelites of being wicked, and so that they can remain in rulership, so they can keep their blessing. But it's not gonna work because the elect exists. So you ultimately got to try to kill all of us, but it's not gonna work because the Lord is not gonna allow it, because Yahawashi it has it to where you're not in control. Okay, you're not in control at all, Esau. It says you force your cup on them. All right, because if you don't want to, take certain things from Esau, he'll just come with the sword, But listen, since Esau want to come with the sword, well, Yahawashi is gonna come with an even bigger sword. You understand? Call Yahawashi 144. It says you force your cup on them so you can gloat over their shameful nakedness, and this is what they're doing. This is what Esau-Edom is doing unto the Israelites by keeping them in a perpetual state of foolishness, dumbness, dumbed down, and to where they don't even think like kings or regal mindset. They think like fucking fools, peasants, and slaves, man. Let me get that in Isaiah 1. We're gonna jump right down to it. This is Hebrews, Isaiah 1 and 2, and we'll start at verse 2. Now I'm gonna read this in the KJV. It says, hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord Yahawah hath spoken, and I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. Okay, and Jacob, even without Esau, in these various other captivities that they've been in under the heathen nations, they have followed after the heathen nations like fools. Okay, and they have got destroyed therein. They have gotten polluted. Okay, they've wandered off the path, and this is why we're here. The watchmen of the Lord is to tell them to return unto the Lord. Whether they hear it or whether they forbade it. The ones that forbade it, they will be destroyed. Those are the wicked Israelites in the 2/3, right? But the ones that hear the message of the Lord, the true understanding, these are the ones that we're looking for. These are those fruit that are meek for repentance, like John was talking about. And this is who we're calling out to, because this is what we're commanded to do. But we do have rebellious children, and those children will receive death. That's the only thing that you can do. That's what the law says. The law said, when you go back into the law, when you got a rebellious son who don't want to do nothing, in the law it says stone his ass, bring him out before the people and stone him and kill him. Ultimately, when you go back into the law on that. But that's the same thing the Lord gonna do to these rebellious children, except this time, you're gonna get, you might not get stoned, but the Lord Yahawashi has 1,000,001 ways to put you to death in a most unbelievable fashion. And it's not going to be quick. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be drawn out, and it's going to be very painful, because you chose, while you had liberty, to disrespect the Lord, disrespect his prophets, scoff against the men of the Lord, scoff against the message. And so now you got to die, period. All right. Now it says in verse 3 to point, the ox knoweth his owner. Now these are two, the ox is not a very intelligent animal, but yet, nor is an ass, which is a donkey. But yet these two animals know who feeds them. These two animals know who their master is, who their owner is. We belong to Yahawashi, okay? And so if you belong to Yahawashi, yet you trying to worship other gods, you're trying to follow after the heathen, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that, then you're trying to make it to where you don't belong to the Lord. So if you don't belong to the Lord, then you're in the spirit of the heathen. So the Lord going to treat you like a heathen, and he going to put you to death, all right? And you're going to have to come back in reincarnation. It says, but Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider. They don't give a fuck. Let's read this in the NLT. even as an ox knoweth his owner, and a donkey recognizes his master's care. See, because a donkey, like, okay, yeah, this person, I can see him with the donkey sees the person who's feeding him with his eye. The donkey sees the person that's putting him under shelter. If it's raining and it's terrible conditions outside, the owner, the master, would take care of the donkey and put it in a place to where he can eat, he can chill, and when the sun come back out, he can go outside, he can do what he needed to do as an animal. But he's just an animal though, and he understands that. A dog know who his owner is, fucking goddamn. But Israel, they want to go and try to serve every other power under the sun besides Yahawashi. And so, Lord willing, through the Spirit, we pray that we don't be or conduct ourselves in such a fashion, because the 2/3 are an example of what not to be. Wicked Israelites are an example of what not to be. Okay, through the Spirit by Yahawashi. So we pray the Lord Yahawashi don't put a reprobate, foolish, 2/3 wicked Israelite spirit on us. So we have to pray that the Lord Yahawashi keeps us in his faith and keeps us in his truth. All right, because if not, then we're liable to fall to the wayside, and we're liable to fall into the category of being wicked, a wicked Israelite, a 2/3, a nigga. You know what I'm saying? When you come into this faith, you are no longer a nigga. Okay, now, we refer to ourselves as that from time to time. You that nigga, you stupid. We'll say some shit like that. But at the end of the day, we know what we are, and we're gods in the spirit. According to Psalms 82:6, we are not, just these low level individuals. Now, Jake, 2/3 of Israel are acting very low level. They're acting very foolish. But hey, that's their part. They got to play within this story, and they're gonna be destroyed for doing, for playing that particular part. But we're focused on the righteous, Lord willing, being delivered. We ain't focused on how the wicked are gonna be destroyed. We know we know they through. All right. It says, it says, even as an ox even as an ox and his owner, and a donkey recognizes his master's care. Okay, we're trying to remain in the care of Yahawashi. You understand? It says, but Israel doesn't know his master. My people does not recognize my care for them. It says in verse 4, oh, what a sinful nation. They are loaded down with burden of guilt, and they are evil people, corrupt children who have rejected the Lord Yahawah. And they have despised the Holy One of Israel and turned their backs on him. So guess what? You turn your back on the Lord Yahawah. He's therefore then going to turn his back on you. All right. And we don't want to be in that spirit in that day, during the time of Jacob's trouble, like it speaks about in Jeremiah, the 30th chapter, starting at, going, I want to say 30 to about 8, because the Lord does say he's going to deliver us out of it. But, we don't want to be caught up in Yaquab's Tazairah, and we're fucking not believing in the Lord, and we're just high off the hog. We just think we got it. We don't got shit. We never had it. We need Yahawashi, and that's the point that, is being made, and it's what we're stressing so heavily, is that we need Yahawashi. We don't, we need him like we need to breathe, and that's the spirit that you need to be in. All right, but let me go back. And I don't know what we understand what she's saying collectively, but she's talking about her Edomite nations and her Edomite counterparts. We're not running for nothing. We're running in the arms of Yahawashi because we know what time it is and we know what's finna happen to this place. But so lock it. Give me 1 second. Let me get something real quick. All right, as I was saying, but yeah, man, you know, anyone outside of this knowledge and understanding, yeah, they're running. They're trying to keep up. They're trying to keep up with the Joneses, as they say, But we, in this wisdom and understanding, we know there ain't no keeping up with the Joneses. We don't have to do that. If we gotta live a minimalistic lifestyle, just having just the bare necessities, or just a little bit more than the bare necessities, because the Lord does provide for His elect. So where we're, we have things. We're not bums, but we know that this place is not our rest. So we're not heavily invested into it. But these Edomites and these other people that want to make America great again, they are, because this is all they have. But they don't understand that, or if they do understand, they will understand soon that that this is not your kingdom is through. All right, America is through. This kingdom is through. The glory days, as you call it, they're through. These women are through. These wicked men are through. These wicked, these Edomites are all the way 100% through. So what we're seeing and what we should be rejoicing in, and we should be call Allah Yahawashi daily, even though we're going through straight hell down here, because we still got the curses on us until the Lord returns. 'Cause we're still playing out the curses, but we're seeing the fall of our enemies. We're seeing this kingdom get afflicted. We're seeing these people complain, and it's only going to get worse for them, and it's going to get better for us, because, when things get worse for them and this kingdom goes down, and all of that, we know that the Lord Yahawah is going to make his second coming on the earth again, and He's going to come deliver us, man. Because we're in a new Egypt, man. Like it speaks about in Revelations, the 11th chapter, when it goes into this place is a spiritual Egypt and Sodom. Sodom, because of the Sodom-like activity that this place upholds and pushes at a high level, 100% against Yahawashi. And that place got destroyed with fire, like unto how this place is going to get destroyed with fire in Egypt, because this is a place of bondage, just like the Egypt of old was a place of bondage. But guess what? The Lord delivered us, from that captivity, and the Lord's going to deliver us from this captivity. This is the final captivity that the Israelites will ever be in. After this captivity, there will be no more captivities. There will be no more pain, there will be no more suffering, because we're fit to enter into perfection. We're fit to enter into the second covenant, under Yahawashi. Now, this is Ecclesiasticus 25:7. There will be 9 things which I have judged in my heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man who have joy of his children, and we're not having that right now. Women use children against you as a token of wickedness against you. All right, these bitches are wicked and they're gonna get destroyed. But it says a man have joy of his children. We're gonna have a lot of joy in our children in the kingdom to come, which is the world that's to come is gonna be made for us. Okay, made for our people, and so that we can thrive. And these heathens and these Edomites and all our enemies, man, they're gonna be low, man. They're gonna be low, because they've come against the children of Israel. They thought they was proud. They thought they had the power to dictate. They thought they had free will. Ultimately, they thought they could do what they want in the earth. But the Lord created the earth, and the Lord created the world for our sakes, man. He didn't create the world for these fucking Moabites. You know what I mean? He didn't create the world for these Hamites to rule over us. They did for a time, all right? But, hey, everything in this season. And now we're finna rule, and we're not going to just rule for a short period of time. We're not going to get brought down. We're finna rule forever and ever and ever, for eternity. You're finna see what eternity looks like under the nation of Israel. Though Anyway, it says, I will utter I will utter with my tongue a man that have joined his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemies. So we're seeing the fall of our enemies right now, but it's even gonna get even more sweeter through the spirit, because we're gonna see this place, Lord willing, get hit with missiles, and we're gonna be standing upon the firmament, upon the sea of glass, watching this place burn to smithereens.
Our life won't get worse. You know, the other day my son asked me, I don't understand Trump, Mom. Why wouldn't a president want his people to be doing better? And I had to explain to him that this is the nature of a narcissist. They don't want people around them to do better. They want to do better at other people's expense. And it's wild that half the country voted for this. And I have to ask, are we great yet? Are you doing better? Are you making more money? Can you afford your life now? Can you afford the life that you dream of? Because
Hell nah. They can't afford shit, and they ain't gonna afford nothing, because even if they did, even if they had more money, they, like I said before, the riches ain't gonna save you, which is not gonna deliver you. So they're cooked, they're done, they're through. I want to get one more precept, though. Lord willing, this video was edifying, but I want to get this precept if I can. If I can. Here we go. Back into this Wisdom of Solomon 3 and 2, because this is what we're going through, because we're going to have to go through these tough times as well, as we enter into our kingdom through much tribulation. But we're gonna have to go through things, and some of us will die, but majority of us won't. Through the spirit, and those brothers, they're gonna have that the Lord gonna put a great spirit on those particular men that do have to die, to be martyrs and to die for this faith and to die for this truth. And to them, doing so is going to be is not going to be a difficult thing at all. I don't believe the Lord's going to put a very warrior and callous, cold like spirit for them to be able to go through getting their heads chopped off, or go through persecution, or whatever Esau-Edom has planned, or going to attempt to do to the men of the Lord, to those men of the Lord who get caught up in that, whoever those men might be, but we must prepare ourselves for this tribulation, for these hard times, because they are to come upon us as well. But the Lord is with us, and we have the Lord Yahawashi to call upon to be that shield from these wicked darts, if you will, like it speaks about. We got to put on the whole armor of the Most High in Ephesians the 6th chapter. But it says here in verse 2, in the sight of the unwise, because like I said, some of us will die, for the faith, of course. We're not dying for no fucking reason, like but it says, in the sight of the unwise, they seem to die, but their departure is taken for misery. Okay. But it says here in verse 3, and that they're going from us is to be utter destruction. All right. But they are at peace, because where do you go? Where do you go when you die? You go to the spirit world. And what's in the spirit world? The scriptures go into the spirit world. It's nothing. It's the prophet Paul, Apostle Paul said that it was unspeakable, meaning, it was glorious. It was everybody was at peace. Everybody's in their place. Everything's good. When even the wicked are at rest. You know what I'm saying? But it says, for though they be punished in the sight of men, though, there's going to be martyrs, there's going to be men of the Lord that get their head cut off. This men of the Lord that's going to suffer various things and shame, so-called shame, persecution, tribute, whatever it may be. We don't know exactly, but it's going to be something to that effect. We're looking forward to what? Immortality, because even if those men of the Lord do die in the faith, then they're going to come back in their lot. They're going to come back as the elect. They're going to come back in a new body. They're going to be resurrected. They're going to be brought back. Okay. And that body that they're going to be brought back in, they will never die again. They will never taste the sword again. They will never taste pain and sorrow and all these other particular things again. All right. And this is what the men of the Lord are looking forward to. So if we got to enter into that by dying and being tried and put through the fire via that way, then so be it. It is what it is. But the Lord going to put the spirit on us to do it. The Lord going to put the spirit on the men of the Lord to go through with it, whether it be death or whether it be life. We know that on the other side, we're going to come back and we're going to be living it up with Yahawashi, with him, toasting up, drinking yayan, drinking wine of whatever, and we're gonna be good. But first and foremost, we gotta go through, this little tribulation that we gotta go through. But as long as we got the Lord, we're not defenseless. We have a defense. You understand? From our enemies and from whatever. As long as we call upon the name of the Lord and fret not. We just got to think about what our forefathers did when they was in situations similar to us. When they was going through shit, and it's like, damn, what the fuck do I do? Well, and when our forefathers, Joshua and all that, they was in war and things of that nature, and they felt like they were losing. Or we could take the Maccabean brothers, the Judas Maccabeus and the Maccabean, brothers and stuff. When they was in war, they prayed to the Lord, and the Lord delivered the host of whoever they were fighting into their hands, and they were very valiant. They were very successful, but they didn't do that. Their successfulness didn't come from, oh, we're just strong men, we're just like that, we just him. No, the Lord is him, and via coming under his order and coming under his, what he being obedient, then so like then we're gonna be able to be successful. But it says here, I'm gonna end it, verse 4. For though they be punished in the sight of men, yet their hope is full of immortality. And this is what we're looking forward to. And that immortality is going to come from Yahawashi, because he's going to give us those new bodies. Those new bodies is what we're looking for. And here in verse 5, it says, I guess I'll read the 6. It says, and they have been a little chastened, because we go through chastening, because the Lord is trying to make us right. So whatever you're going through, it's like, damn, man, call on the name, pray, and you're gonna get through it, because the Lord ain't gonna put nothing on you that is too hard or that you can't get through. It might be tough, and you might be like, fuck, but keep calling upon the name. Is everything Satan coming to fuck with you? All of that is to try you and to make you stronger, to build you up. We're leveling up in the spirit, and the only way to level up is to go against harder things, to get to that next level, that next boss. You got to beat the boss, then you got to beat the next boss, you got to beat the next boss, you got to keep slaying these demons, keep slaying shit, with the word, and keep doing what you got to do. That's how you get better. You don't get stronger, like a game, like a video game. Your character don't get stronger by keep fighting the same boss over and over. You already know all his moves and stuff, and you ain't getting better. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to go through some shit, and whatever you got to go through is going to better you and make you even more strong, make you even more cold in the spirit, and keep serving the Lord. So, look forward to the afflictions, look forward to the bullshit, because it ain't going to stop. So you might as well grit your teeth and gird up your loins and do what you got to do, because fuck it. We the sons of God. We made for the battle. This is the conditions of the battle, and we made for it. We the sons of God. We the rulers of the earth. So yes, we're gonna have to go through some shit. Yahawashi went through some shit, and he was the son of God. He was literally the son of Yahawah, of Yahawah himself, and he went through shit. So what if we be of him and we be of his disciples? How are we not gonna go through similar things? We might not go through the same thing, but I'm saying something's gonna happen to us. We're gonna have to go through some tribulation. This is not just fucking. It's not barbecue chicken. It's not free. You know what I'm saying? We will suffer things, man. But we have Yahawashi, man. We have him. He's with us, and we're telling our people to return, man. But they don't want to hearken. If they don't want to hearken, fuck them. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna sit here and beg these niggas to return into the Lord when the Lord is for their benefit. Man, fuck you then, you wicked ass nigga. Like, fuck them. But it says here in verse 6, and I'm gonna end it off here. It says, as gold in a furnace have he tried them. And this is what the Lord is gonna do to us. This is what the Lord gonna do to you. He's gonna try you and put you through shit, and you still gonna come out on the other side even better, or even stronger in the spirit. You know what I'm saying? Fuck the flesh, but in the spirit. And this is what we're gonna continue to do, because this is what we were made to do, So with all that being said, I'm gonna say shalom, Lord willing. This was edifying unto the hopeful body of the elect. Double honor to the apostle, great millstone, to rule well, to teach from until the next video. This has been brother Malachi. Until the next video, shalom, 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 shalom.